Hey, good morning. Matt Modi here with OddsJam. Let's bet some NBA player props. So, yesterday I was so close to having a great day, but I ended up going 1-2. Both of my plays lost by exactly on the hook by half of whatever stat it was, which was unfortunate. But I posted some plays on Twitter. A lot of the plays on the live stream went well. Also posted some plays on Pickett that went well. Some NFL plays went well. So overall was a good day, but not for these player props specifically, which just shows you it is important to subscribe to the OddsJam YouTube channel, to follow me on Twitter at Jedi Modi and all that good stuff. But regardless, let's start locking in some NBA player props. So of course, using OddsJam, scrolling through the OddsJam positive expected value betting software, finding the best value bets. And let's just get into it. So the first one that I wanted to lock in here, Monte Morris, under 3.5 rebounds. So I don't love the juice at -130. -130, -135 is normally the lowest I'll go in terms of odds. But I thought that this was such a good play that I was willing to accept the poor juice on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this one in. It's going to be a full unit play for me, $100 on Monte Morris under 3.5 rebounds. This bet has been locked in. Let me add it to my bet tracker as well. And now we can chat about it. So Monte Morris, guard for the Wizards, came over from the Nuggets. The no-vig odds price this at -137. And this is honestly the most important part, the most important concept to understand about these player props and specifically about the OddsJam positive expected value betting software. The way it works is OddsJam back tested, thousands of betting opportunities. And from all of that testing and all that data being collected, they determined what sportsbooks are the best in terms of pricing odds. And the cool thing about that, it's not unique to every single market, right? PointsBet might be better at player props. FanDuel might be better at game props. Caesars might be better at baseball. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, just using an example. But each market, each sport is going to have a different formula, a different calculation of which of the sportsbooks are the sharpest. And then once that determination has been made for the specific market, OddsJam removes the VIG from all of those sharp books using a weighted average to give you the true line of what a market should be priced at. Now, the VIG, I'm sure you're probably aware of it, but it's just the juice that sportsbooks price odds. So when you see like the difference between even money, essentially like +100, -130, there's a 30-cent gap between these two numbers. In this one, there's a 28. In this one, there's like a 55, 45. That's the juice. That's the VIG. So what OddsJam does is it removes the VIG to basically find out what sportsbooks truly think of a market without trying to juice up the odds, because that's how they make their money. In this case, they have the no vig odds at about -137. And we can get it at -130 at FanDuel and at PointsBet. I obviously took it on FanDuel. You can take it on either one. So, and this is another cool thing about using OddsJam, and just to me at least, as a numbers nerd, a math nerd, that I find very interesting. So all odds have a win percentage associated with them. So basically the way it works is whenever sportsbooks are pricing odds, they just associate a win percentage to a play and then convert that percentage into odds. So if you click this calculator here, it'll give you the win percentage. So this bet will hit roughly 57.87% of the time, right? This game is played 1,000 gazillion times. This will win 57.87% of the time. The reflected odds of -130, if we go to the odds converter calculator, type in -130, is only 56.52. So this means that if we are betting on 1,000 bets at -130 odds, we need to hit roughly 565 times and we will break even. Any number we hit above this percentage, we will be profitable. And we know, based on all of this back testing and calculations, that the true line of this, it will hit roughly above this number, 57.87% of the time. That is where your positive expected value comes from. It's the gap between what we know the bet is going to occur at in terms of percentage and the gap of what the sportsbook is giving you. So -137, -130, the gap between those two numbers gives you a profit margin, an EV percent of about 2.38%. Obviously, the bigger the gap between these two numbers, the higher this percent is going to be. But that doesn't mean that inherently the higher the percent, the better. There are still good plays lower than whatever, like at lower percents, that I still lock in. And it's just about some other things to look for, which I'll get into right now. The next thing that I like to look for is if you click into a play, it pulls up where all the odds, all the sports books are pricing odds for this play at. And the goal of this, we just want to identify, is the sports book that we are placing the bet on truly an outlier when you compare it to all the other sports books? And the answer to this one is yes to the important ones. Now, FanDuel and PointsBet have the same odds. Caesars is close. But look at every other book. DraftKings actually does a very good job at pricing player props specifically. So you can kind of use them as a good line of what a player prop should be priced at. BetOnline, one of the sharpest sports books in the world, has this at minus 150. Pinnacle, which is the sharpest sports book in the world, has this at minus 173. So 3 of the sharper books in the world, DraftKings in terms of player props, BetOnline, and Pinnacle, all have this as significantly more favorable than the implied odds of minus 130, which is what FanDuel is giving us. So all in all, I think that this is an awesome play. Monte Morris under 3.5 rebounds is my first NBA betting pick. Let me refresh this. I want to make sure I have the most up-to-date odds. The next one that I wanted to lock in here is this Tyrese Halliburton over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists. Now, I think this is another awesome play. The best odds actually were on Caesars. Looks like BetRivers is giving us an even more favorable line. So let me go ahead and log into BetRivers. This is going to be another play that I'm putting a full unit on. So I need to go to the Pacers Wizards. And this is going to be under the player specials. We're looking at Tyrese Halliburton over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists. I'm actually going to risk to win a unit, which is the most I'll put on a player prop. Risk 113 to win 100. I'm very, very confident in this play. Well, I would like to place it for the full amount, but looks like they're going to have me limited. So I will place up to whatever they allow me. I would like to get the full unit on it, but looks like they're going to wait for approval for the remaining $70.71. But regardless, for those of you at home that are unit sizing this play, I would risk to win a unit on this Tyrese Halliburton over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists. I think it's an awesome play. And just look at the gap, right? Like the no-vig odds have this at almost at minus 130, at minus 129. BetRivers is giving it to you at minus 113. I would have put, a full unit at Caesars at minus 127. So getting it at minus 113 is just an incredible, incredible value. So we can go back and look at BetRivers and see if they accepted it. Maybe I'll put the difference on Caesars if they don't, but I can do that off camera. You don't need to watch me do that. But Tyrese Halliburton over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists. He's hit this in literally every single game so far this season. He's had an incredible start to the year. Even though the Pacers aren't playing well, they're a tanking team, Halliburton's been phenomenal. And again, look where all the other books price it. Pinnacle, minus 149. BetOnline, minus 164. Caesars is closer, and then PointsBet at minus 143. Another thing that I like to do is if you open up an event page in a new tab, it pulls up odds where every sportsbook prices a market at. And what we can see is FanDuel actually prices Halliburton at one point, whatever you want to call it, higher at 32.5. So they think that his over-under should not be priced at 31.5. It should actually be priced at 32.5, which is exactly what you see here on FanDuel, pricing it at 32.5. So this is going to be my second play, Tyrese Halliburton over 31.5 points, rebounds, assists. Let me give this another refresh, make sure I'm getting the most up-to-date odds. And the next play that I wanted to lock in here was this Franz Wagner, the over 19.5 points, although the odds changed on that one. It's still plus EV at Caesars, but I'm going to go ahead and skip that one. The odds changed on that one. So let me go back. And the next play that I was going to lock in, aside from that, was this PJ Tucker over, 4.5 rebounds. Now, PJ Tucker has called out the Sixers for not being tough enough. If there's one thing about PJ Tucker, I will give him this. He is a tough player. So I like his odds to go over 4.5 rebounds, minus 113 at FanDuel, minus 135 on DraftKings, minus 138 on Pinnacle. BetOnline has it a little bit closer, kind of in between, at minus 125. So all in all, still a good play. This is just going to be half of a unit. So the first two were a full unit. Actually, the Halliburton was to win a full unit, which is rare. This one is just half of a unit play. PJ Tucker over 4.5 rebounds. No big odds. Price this at about minus 115. FanDuel is giving it to us at minus 113. So even though it's a lower number, still a good bet that I think is worth taking. So this is going to be my third pick. And the fourth one that I'm going to lock in here is the odds change on that. So let me refresh this. I always leave this stuff in because it is important to understand that you do have to move quick and that odds can unfortunately change against you, which can be frustrating. But the next one that I will lock in here, Trae Young over 27.5 points, minus 102 at FanDuel. So Trae has had a pretty good start to the year. He hasn't shot it as efficiently and as electrically as we're used to seeing, but he still had a great start to the year. I guess I have to log back in. But it's another positive expected value play that I like. Trae Young over 27.5 points, minus 102 at FanDuel. No big odds. Price this at about minus 105, minus 106 if you want to round up. So getting it at minus 102 is a pretty good outlier. So let me go ahead, and now that I'm back logged in, lock this one in. This is going to be 3/4 of a unit, so 75 on this one. Trae Young over 27.5 points. So let me go ahead and place this bet, and we are good to go. So those are my 4 NBA player props for today. Was able to find 4 that I liked. One of the ones that I was going to lock in, this Franz Wagner one, had the odds change before I could lock it in. But so if you can get this one at a good price, then I would recommend taking it. Basically anything below minus 119. But regardless, that is going to be it for this video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you are tailing, comment on the video with your feedback. Enjoy the NBA tonight and have a good one.